model of development frames out are these 4 quadrants. In the first box, the realized strengths, this is where you know that you really shine and you do well. And so this is really your lever to dial up or dial down as needed. The next box on the right is what you call your unrealized strengths. And this is kind of your hidden gems, your hidden potentials. This is where you can reach into that secret stash of support and energy and find ways to use those strengths and bring them forward. Great, thank you for that. Okay, so weaknesses, just going over the 4 quadrants. We all know that we have weaknesses, and so we just need to acknowledge what those are and realize that there are other individuals in the world that can complement our weaknesses. So we want to find who they are as we build out our team, as we build out our company, and be able to kind of share the wealth and be able to delegate effectively. So on the left, that bottom left quadrant, the learned behaviors, this is something that we've, as professionals, as adults, as we've matured, we have learned how to do these things, but it doesn't really energize us. It's one of those tasks on your list that you wait until the very end and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Or some people call it the swallow the frog first thing in the morning, right? If you do the worst thing up front, then you know you got it over with. So that's where I like to talk about the learned behaviors is we all have them. We figure out how to be an adult and how to manage through, but this is how the strengths kind of sort out and play out. I love this identification and I love how it kind of quadrants, and I want to caution, if we talk about the next one, you know, we're talking about strengths. We all have weaknesses. And I know that we've all heard a lot of theories and business articles and research about developing your weaknesses, but it's actually the opposite. Research, according to Strengths Profile, has shown that if you develop your strengths, then you're much more effective at the task at hand and what you're doing. You have higher levels of self-esteem, you're more likely to achieve your goals, and you're less stressed out, right? You're not eating the frog first thing in the morning, you're able to delegate things that you're not good at. So I have this image of a basketball team, for those that aren't familiar with the sport. It's played in America, right? And there's all these different roles. There's the power forward, there's a shooting guard, there's a center, right? And so when a coach is building out his basketball team, each role serves a very different purpose. And there's a nice little short summary there next to each role. And I like to use the example, and this is somewhat unfair, but I think it makes the point. When you're looking for a player to dunk the basketball, that's usually the power forward, okay? So the number with the 4 circled far on the left of the image. That individual, just by where they are on the court, tends to be the tallest person on the team. And if you have an individual on the team that has always dreamt of dunking a basketball and being the amazing superstar dunking person, but they're only 5'2", as a coach, you have to look at that and say, I'm not sure I can really coach that person, that 5'2", 5 feet 2 inches tall person, up to dunking a basketball. So I need to look at what my bench strength is and who else is on the team and assign and develop the strength of an individual who's already 6'2". And if that person already has the strength as the height advantage to dunk the basketball, then that's where I'm going to invest more of my coaching, more of my training, more of my feedback to make sure that person plays that role and that function extremely well. And that the rest of the team can also play to the strengths of that one individual, right? So it's knowing what one is good at, knowing how to play to the strengths. You're more likely to achieve the goal of dunking the basketball. So it's more exciting. You enjoy your job, you enjoy the work. Okay, So we're going to take a trivia break, and I want audience participation. So they've been doing this survey since 2009, and they've surveyed over 1 million profiles from people across 50 countries. Okay, so this is a very global tool. And from that data set, so pretty large data set, question to the group, what do you think is the most common realized strength? So in the top green, dark green box on the left, you've looked at your profile, you had the definitions, you probably skimmed through, they have some cute little icons. Feel free to unmute and share your answer. We're just guessing. All right, I'll give the first one. Pride. So around the world, the most common strength that's realized is pride, where individuals, this is a universal trait, strive to produce work that is the highest quality and standard. Makes perfect sense.
Sorry, did you say pride?
Pride.
Is that a strength?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. At the end of your profile, when you took it, Stefania, it should have had a quick definitions of each of the, I think it's 50 strengths or 60 different strengths. Did you see that?
I'm trying to look in back. Yeah, I don't think I downloaded. I mean, I definitely saw my profile. I think I didn't download it.
No worries. So here are all the strengths definition, and I'm happy to send this out. It should be part of your profile, but it goes through 2 pages, I think there's 60 of different strengths that the assessment asks you questions about. Yep, happy to share this with the team. Should be in the profile, but okay.
So just to clarify, that's pride in producing high quality work, correct?
Correct. High quality work around the globe.
Thank you.
Yep. So the next box is your unrealized strengths. So again, worldwide, what do you think is the most common unrealized strengths? So we're in the kind of gray, green, yellow box in the top right.
I'm going to say improver or creativity.
Great. Not the right answer, but great effort.
Something related to vision.
Mission, yeah, great. Exactly. Pursuing things that give you a sense of meaning. We hear a lot these days about meaning in our work. And so, I mean, they've been collecting this data since 2009, and here we are 8-9 years later, and we're still saying the same thing. So it's great. We want purpose in our work. We want meaning. We want to make sure that we're working towards a longer goal. Okay, so bottom left, what is the most common learned behavior?
To be organized?
Organized, very close. Yep, very close. It's work ethic, which kind of surprised me. Most of us are hardworking and we put a lot of effort into it, even if we don't necessarily enjoy the task at hand. So this is where we kind of learn to do the adult things in our world and learn to pay the bills and learn to carry things through to completion. I thought that was really interesting. So what do you think is the most common weakness?
Judgment.
Very close. It's courage. overcoming your fears and doing what you want to do in spite of the fears. Oh my gosh, was that profound? I thought so. We all hold a lot of fears in our professional, in our personal life. What if we do this? And it's something that a lot of us struggle with. So I appreciate that. I appreciate having that as kind of a common humanity trait, so that when I'm struggling with courage, I don't feel so isolated anymore. Great. Okay, so quick trivia break. And then I want to open up the call and ask you guys, what was your initial reaction when you've looked at your profile and you read through it? What were your thoughts?
I thought it was quite realistic. But, you know, basically what I did was, and probably everyone somehow goes close to that, I did exactly what you said. Answered the questions frankly, whatever came up to my mind in the first instance. Maybe there may be just one question that I hit it, and then I said, is it this or that? But it's not too far away. And probably that's just to clear the way, because the questions repeat itself somehow to check up, I guess.
Yeah, yep, there's some validity in there, but great approach.
Yeah, and the outcome seems to be actually in line, basically. And actually, I did have a test with the Jung personality test. The Jung, I don't know how you spell it, German psychologist thing. And it goes with that as well, in a way. So this is different tests, but you know they similarize each other. I don't know if I have to say anything else.
No. This is great. We're just initially sharing, so fantastic. So that's good. Yeah. Sometimes these assessments really resonate with individuals. So thank you for that. Other thoughts from folks? Were you surprised? Do you disagree? What was your biggest surprise when you read your profile?
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
This is Denise Brown. I apologize. I entered a little late, and I probably will only be on the call until 10 or so. But I did have a chance to fill out the profile last night, and I thought it was very interesting. Learned behaviors versus, I guess, innate potential or capacity that you have due to your personal characteristics versus things that you can learn. So from a logical perspective, I think it makes sense that the profile is that way. And in terms of feedback, I do like the bullet points at the end that give you sort of recommendations. It's almost like your daily horoscope a little bit. So I like that very much.
I want to go back and talk about your teams and our metaphor of the basketball team. And many of us can really be drained by things that we have to get through during the day, the checklist, the pitch decks, the plan, the marketing strategy. How do I put this all together? And those times are draining. They don't energize us. We're outside of our comfort zone. And this is where you can develop a shared team language to acknowledge and say, you know what? I'm just doing something outside of my comfort zone. I'm doing something that's a learned behavior right now. Yep, okay, I need to get through it. But right now, it's just a learned behavior. And that gives us a little bit of compassion with ourselves so we can find ways to support not only ourselves in our development, but then as we work with teams. So I know that there's some solopreneurs on the call, and there's also some other folks that are kind of in teams and working with other individuals. I like to use this tool and resource also when we're talking about team development, because it helps highlight the diversity in teams, not only the traditional sense of diversity, but then also the strengths diversity. And do you realize that everyone has the same realized strength, or everyone has the same weakness? Let's go with that one, right? If everyone has the same weakness, then we don't really have a diverse team, and we haven't figured out how to address the weaknesses in our team in order to do some very necessary things in the full complement of our business plan. Okay, so this is one way for us to understand the strengths of the people in our team, what they are. So I encourage you, if you are working with a team within this cohort, hopefully they all have taken the profile, and I would encourage you to have a conversation. And if you feel comfortable, I'm not prescribing, but if you feel comfortable, share your profiles and talk about your learned behaviors, talk about your unrealized strengths, and talk about your weaknesses with your team, so that you can figure out kind of who does what most effectively to move the business forward. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let's look the slide up that's in preview. What task or goal would you like to achieve? Let's get really concrete here. And this is where the self-accountability is going to come in. So is there a task? Is there something that you're working on that you would like to achieve? So I'm trusting everyone right now is taking notes, has another screen open, is typing something or handwriting notes. So what task or goal would you like to achieve? Be very crisp. And then the second part of this, knowing the different strengths, and again, if it helps to go to the definition page, definitely do that. What realized or unrealized strengths will support the task or the goal that you have just written? So I am going to pause for silence, and I'm going to let folks work. And if you have clarifying questions, please speak up, but work on the 2 questions that are visible on the slide right now. All right, I'll let you wrap up your thoughts, but I do want to open it up and have us share with each other. So one of it is being concrete and is writing a task or a goal, connecting it to a strength that we just learned about, either our strength or one that's related to the goal, because again, we have teams, we have other folks who are here to help and support us, so it doesn't have to be all on our shoulder. Let's share back to the group, and let's talk about the goal we'd like to achieve and the strength that's going to help support that. Who would like to go first? So we did kind of weave this into the discussion, right? So how you compensate for the missing strengths. We talked about self-awareness, sharing with your teams, understanding kind of where each of the folks are kind of in their quadrants. And this is not a, this isn't a time to say, well, it's not great that Rachel has a low work ethic, or, you know, that strength isn't, you know, in her realized quadrants. You know, it's just a time for awareness. And so we want to know where folks are so that we can start to have the conversations about how do we build out that. I like to use mosaics, right? If every strength is a color tile in a mosaic, you add the colors that you need in that mosaic. And then when you step back, you have a beautiful picture. So what is the color tile in your mosaic? What is the strength that you're missing? And how do you either build that out in someone who's either in a learned behavior, but it doesn't energize them, okay? You want to find someone, when you look through your team and look through kind of how we bring help whether it's formally hiring someone or a team of advisors. There's so many resources out there. So an advisor who can complement that particular strength that you're looking for. Mentor in that incubator accelerator world, there's a lot of mentors that have a variety of different strengths. And so you have to figure out how to ask the questions, because you can't come right out and be like, hey, Rachel, do you have a good legacy? Is that your strength? Probably won't know what you're talking about. But trying to understand and figure out, how do I ask the right questions of my mentors to help complement the weakness? And it could be as clear as, I know I have a gap in this area, mentor. How would you recommend I fill it? And listen, does it really address the gap, or are they just talking because they are knowledgeable? Yep, super wonderful people. But really be critical when you're building out your team, your support network. So any specific questions on compensating or the strengths or the profile, because that was our last slide. Trying to end right on time and incorporate any questions that you guys might have. My name is Rachel O'Neill. Thank you for spending your hour with me. This is one of my favorite topics, so I love when Suraj asks me, of course. Happy to share.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Rachel.